We are going to get rolling here, so we just kind of wanted to have a discussion from a few. I know we've got so many more business leaders. You know, you saw the video that was produced by Seth and his guys. That's just a small sampling of business owners, business leaders from all sizes, you know. This is just who we could kind of pull together in a few hours. And of course, their businesses are located in fairly close proximity to this thing. So first, if you guys would just kind of take a quick minute and introduce yourself, who you are, and what you're doing, if you want to start.
Sure. David Chadwick, President and CEO of Choice Fabricators here in Rainbow City.
What do you do with Choice Fabricators?
We're a custom manufacturer of mostly all metal components for the appliance industry and automobile industry and HVAC industry. And as I mentioned the other day in the council meeting, we're currently at about 280 associates here in Rainbow City. And we'll touch a little further as we go through the numbers here in a little bit.
All right.
My name's Andrew Ford. I'm the CEO of ZLA Solutions here in Rainbow City, right here next to Choice Fabricators, actually. Here in Rainbow City, we have about 40 everyday employees, and we have about 400 within about a 100-mile radius. And so we right now center around the automotive and the foundry industry, which is great for us, obviously being right here in Rainbow City and all of the automotive here, and definitely have plans to continue growing that.
All right.
Philip Cochran, part owner of Bryce Thomas Radiator and US Radiator. We build custom aluminum heat exchangers. We build custom radiators and things, and we have a business in the county, probably about 3 miles from here, and then one in Rainbow City.
Okay. So, guys, before we and if you've got questions as we go along, feel free to drop them in. But I think we'll kind of let them talk about some of their thoughts, because I know they've got a few on what seems to be going on. So I'm going to turn it over to let them share their thoughts, and we'll get some insight into kind of here's what some business owners are thinking with what's going on. So, David, you want to
open
up the discussion?
I'll be glad to. And guys, I'll try to be a little more in depth than I was allowed to go Tuesday in my brief 4-minute and 30-second presentation at the council. But as I said before, you know, Choice has been in business here in Etowah County for an excess of 40 years. And obviously we take that very seriously. I'm very proud of all my associates and the length of time they've all been with me. So I think our average tenure of our associates is well over 9 years. So in this day and age, that's pretty good. One of the things that we'll obviously be talking about tonight as well that I personally want to make sure we completely debunk. You know, we keep being told this whole narrative of the 60 to 90 jobs. That math just doesn't work. As I mentioned to the council the other day, we currently have, in a 1.5 mile radius of this facility, in excess of 186 jobs, and that's current as of Tuesday. And of that, I mean, obviously, I think 30 of those are within my corporation, and others are within various corporations around our facilities. And there again, most of those are in the manufacturing sector, which are going to be better than average paying jobs. They're going to be able to compete for better than average paying jobs. So I don't understand the narrative at all of why we feel the need to take what I consider an extreme risk for a plant of 60 to 90 employees, which the number keeps changing. It was 60, now it's 90. So let's just say between 60 and 90. Take the chance of, even if it's a well-paying job, and we keep hearing this technology, the chance of what we're not gaining anything. The jobs are already here. We can grow more jobs if we had a little bit more incentive in the council and especially the IDA working with us local business owners instead of, in a lot of cases, somewhat against. You know, as I mentioned, I know Mr. Hooks has been on the job for 1.5 years, and I've never seen him in my office and never received a phone call. So that was a little bit surprising to me, of there once again being one of Etowah County's top 5 industrial employers. So that's a little strange. If that was my business, I would be reaching out to my people in the businesses and what can I do to help them grow? But that hasn't been the case to this point. Another thing that I personally think, and we'll go on a little further in detail more later on, but is lacking as well is the training programs locally as well. As these manufacturing jobs are requiring more and more skilled labor positions, we need to have better avenues to train those associates. Here at Choice, we have an internal training program for our automatic press operators, and that's all good and that's fine, but that's a very small percentage of my overall employment. And for the entry level jobs and the mid level jobs is very, very sparse. We currently have, I believe, 2 associates over at Gadsden State in their program, but there's not really anything out there that is doing anything to attract, local teenagers that are graduating from school to go into VOTEC training or go into manufacturing training whatsoever. And there in turn, that would be good retention jobs here in Etowah County. So that to me is something that I've been saying for well over 10, 15 years, and it just consistently does not gain any traction of getting that project and program done. In fact, that was our comment last night. We talked about it in depth with some of our friends, trying to find a better way to communicate that to get more and more opportunities for everyone in that.
To hit on that, David, it's on the skilled trade side.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, like part of what ZLA does is, part of our company is headhunters, right? So, we literally find skilled trades for the automotive industry, wherever that may be. But as of this morning, when I found out we were going to do this and we look in our system, we have 39 skilled trade positions open within a 20-mile radius. And that's anywhere from $18 to $30 an hour. Right. We're talking electrical, we're talking PLC technicians, maintenance, obviously hydraulic, pneumatics, all the stuff that you can get and be learned in a less than a 2-year period, that could start filling those jobs right here, right now. That when you're coming from an actual out-of-pocket cost to get all the equipment work, minimal, right, in regards to capital investment from the city, so right. That's right here in our backyard, and those are high-paying, technical jobs, and that's just who I do business with, exactly, which is just a small fraction, exactly, of the industry. So if you just take that's probably 500, technical jobs right here that are open right now.
And like you're saying, and to your point earlier, Michael, the fact this is only 3 of us tonight, guys. We're a very small, microcosm of what is in Etowah County. So just imagine that multiplied over the rest of the business leaders. For example, I know good friend Harold Weaver over at Sam Products. He has multiple openings and opportunities. Narmco across the street, I know they have open opportunities. So there again, it's just the amount of jobs that are here currently with the current state of what we're talking about needs improvement is tenfold over what this possibility of this plant might bring to us. And there again, so I think
70 jobs.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is my biggest concern is if it is allowed to come here, is how many jobs we're going to lose. I know, for example, Choice is in the process right now making the determinations for 2021 and some substantial, capital investments. I'm just being bluntly honest. I will not do that if this plant is allowed to come here. Why am I going to spend more capital in a position that I know is not going to grow fruitful in the future? I'm going to have a hard time attracting any employees to work in that environment. So the last thing I want to do is go out and spend more capital for a position that I know I can't fill.
So. And to also add on to that, my company as well, is in the midst of doing a very large expansion that's going to not only add, over 20 guaranteed jobs right here in Rainbow City, but we already kind of joke about, depending on what day it is, what they're cooking over at the chicken plant, and because we can smell it 'cause we're right here. So, and that's fine. But it's livable. I am absolutely not going to reinvest in this area with a rendering plant a mile down the road and add more people, to our employee. It's just not going to happen, So what that will mean, is obviously I'm not going to then pick up my current business out of Rainbow City and take it to Gadsden. Can't do that. So it's going to end up having to go into a different county, right, which is going to take jobs out of this county, which is obviously what we don't want to do, So, it just puts people like us in a really difficult position, because we have to take obviously all of our employees' lives into consideration, so, and not to mention my kids as well as other kids, I think, around this, yours as well, go to a school a mile from here, so, there's just a lot more that it's going to impact.
So Phil, how's your, how's your business going? Have y'all been talking much about, you haven't studied super in depth, on all the ins and outs, but I'm sure y'all are talking about, this stuff. You know, you're talking earlier, but I mean, the impact from 2020 already,
Yes.
and what's going on. I mean, what are you guys thinking about as a business right now, as we close out this crazy year?
Crazy year, yeah. We've actually been blessed through this year because, our industry is, it's in the heat transfer business. So we've been growing through here. We acquired a company from California, moved it from California. In fact, they had a rendering plant near there. I don't know exactly how far, but you could smell it. Like we were there a month moving equipment, and it was awful. But going to
You experienced that yourself.
Oh yeah, I didn't even know what it was. There was like a rendering plant one day, and then it was like a donut the next day. So when you got those two together, it was terrible. But we plan on growing.
Okay.
I mean, we've grown from 8 employees to over 80 and we plan on growing this company. And there's a lot of opportunities for our business, and our industry is continuing to grow. And we plan on adding jobs here,
Okay.
in Rainbow City and over in the county where we are. So it goes back to that skilled labor, though, you were talking about. I mean, the vocational schools, and there is no vocational school that I'm aware of.
Right.
I mean, there's the college over there, but we look for welders.
Yeah, there's a technical school down next to Etowah High School.
That's the only one.
Votech
Yep.
school, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's one of the only ones.
But
you
when
know.
I went to school, we had vocational.
And so to that discussion, like how much, I mean, obviously, y'all have got some pretty sizable businesses around here. Like who's reaching out to try and figure out how to grow that? I mean, so we're going out and spending time to try and bring in, a Brazilian company to set up this rendering plant. I would think, I mean, it's logical to me. Wouldn't you kind of engage with the existing businesses? You're saying I can grow. I mean, is that happening?
You would think that, but no, sir, it's not happening.
Well,
not from our standpoint.
And I will say something to actually for the current leadership of Rainbow City, not Gadsden, but it says a lot for the new mayor that when he was running for office 3 months ago, I mentioned to him in passing that we were looking at expanding our business, and when he got into office, I was confident he was going to win, but when he got into office, that I'd appreciate if he'd come talk to us and let's look at what the city can do for us, because right now I wasn't being bitter, but it's all I've gotten, from the city as it stands right now is a bill, and so unfortunately that needs to change if I'm going to continue, to try to grow here. What did he do? In his first week, Joe Taylor was at my office. He's already toured our building, talked to us about our expansion plan. He even came to us to say, hey, help me figure out all of the different incentives that we can do, because I don't know what I don't know. And that impressed me more than anything. But in all the years that we were here prior, not a foot in our door, and so, but that, in my opinion, is what we need more of, is that type of leadership from the front saying, hey, what can I do right here to help you?
And I'm going to ask the uncomfortable question that I'm sure somebody's going to make some comments, and then I've got one question in there, and we'll get into the pay discussion. But when you talk about engaging and asking, I mean, you guys aren't looking for them to give you money or, hey, I don't want to pay taxes. Like, that's not what you're talking about.
No,
you're talking about actually how do we get training? How do we do that? So I just want to make, I'm sure somebody's going to make the snarky comment that,
well, I mean, at the
y'all
end of the
just
day,
trying to
their job is to help us grow, not hinder growth.
right.
And so, and part of the help and grow, though, is a monetary aspect of it, though. I mean, just to be truthful, I mean, people need to understand that, yes, it's absolutely part of it.
Right.
But it's part. It's not like they have a check and they're giving us a check to go build. It's in the form of rebates. So what people don't understand how abatements and rebates work is that is way after the fact. They're talking, and it's in the form of quarterly deals and And I mean, it's not like some state ferry comes and gives us a huge check and we say, thanks for playing. It's still, we have to fund all of it, you know, and it's in the form of rebate help for after the fact. People need to understand it doesn't come unless you do it, you know? So, I mean, we can talk all day long about the different abatements and things that you can do, but unless you build what you say you're going to build, you're getting nothing, you know? And so that's why people need to understand that there isn't an economic incentive for the business owner to do that, but it's only if he does what he says he's going to do by creating those jobs, investing the amount of money that they said they were going to invest, you know. And so it's more of a knowledge base that people need to understand, you know, what can be done, you know, to help.
Well, let me jump in here. This is going to be a big one. So how much is the pay of the jobs? Do you have any stats? David, you've done quite a bit of digging into some of the pay.
When you say, I'm sorry, the question is pay
So
where?
the question is, how much is the pay of these jobs? So the jobs that we're talking about that have availability.
Oh, well, we're speaking about the generalized.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, you know, and I've seen some comments in the group and stuff like that.
I think that's obviously
we need livable wages and all that kind of stuff.
That's very sensitive information, obviously. I mean, I can't speak for other businesses, but I share that.
You don't need an exact number.
And I shared that information in detail the other day at the council meeting, you know, as far as my corporation, where we're at, you know, but the minimum standard of choice from the standpoint of any minimum entry level is $9, $10 an hour entry level, with a clear path and a clear procedure of how and why, when and where your pay scale ramps up from there. As I said earlier, you know, what our plan averages were. You know, our press operators and our tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 press operators are on a clearly defined wage scale. So it's not a situation where your supervisor dictates what that is and whatever else. If you meet those objectives and you learn those objectives and you're able to perform to those levels, that is what your pay would be. So it's very clearly defined.
Okay.
Out of like our positions, you know, because my company does a lot of staffing. I'm not talking about in my company as in what over at ZLA, like our internal positions, you know, yeah, like you said, $10 to $12 an hour for entry level, but we actually have, you know, defined scales that are on a board that everyone can see that just in time of service, you know, you go up to 14, and all the other things that come with that. But like I took some notes here of just 3 automotive suppliers. I won't say their name, but who we deal with right now, you know, one of which 6 miles from here, 20 openings, they start at $12.04 an hour. One of which about 22 miles from here, another Honda supplier, over 20 openings, $13.60 an hour. And this is entry level, zero experience, you know, right? And then we have one that's actually down in Boaz, but still only 25 miles from here, you know, $14.10 an hour, you know. So, I mean, it's for non-skill. I mean, we're talking entry level, zero experience walking in the door that to then can turn in less than 6 months' time into multiple dollars extra with vacation time, with benefits, you know, with a 401 in place in certain areas, you know, and things. So, I mean, there's all the other benefits that come with those jobs, you know. So, and I'm not trying to get on a soapbox here just because I have a staffing company, you know, but I take it on the chin all the time, you know, about the negative connotation of the staffing industry as a whole is, oh, y'all are just a temp office, you know. It's they think we just get this huge markup and, you know, and that's how it is, you know. But every single job that we have is called what's temp to perm, you know, meaning they start off for a 90-day period. Then after that, they're a permanent employee of whatever, you know, customer of ours that they're working on, with guaranteed incentive, you know, raises in pay, guaranteed benefits, all the things that come with it, you know. And so I will say, of course, there have been some bad situations, I bet, with staffing companies and certain employers and get bad raps.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
That's industry, you know. But when we're talking right this second, right now, what has happened doesn't matter. There are jobs in this county, tons of them. And if people will look and want to work, they can, you know. So to use 70 to 90 jobs of a rendering plant to shove down our throat as the benefit of why we need it is just not true.
Yeah. So can you kind of give a scale of
Entry level, zero experience, $12 an hour.
Okay.
I have a recently permanent help wanted sign in my door. I interviewed 3 people today.
Just today.
Just today. I interviewed them.
So
This morning I set them up and interviewed 3.
That's zero skill and
Zero skill, we will train. You know, that's what.
So that's just back and proves our point. I mean, you know, and in turn too, I think I speak for almost every employer on this list and every list in Gadsden, we want all of our associates to do better. We want all our associates to make more money. And as they create more value for themselves and learning these expertises, that obviously only creates better opportunities for them and the pay.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing.
And what's great is that the amount of industry here in our town is actually changing a little bit when you think about it, because it used to be those skilled positions required years of experience before they're bringing them in. That has changed. I mean, we are getting companies left and right that say, hey, you got your cert, you've got your schooling, we will go ahead and bring you on and train the different way to do it. But you have the nuts and bolts basics, right? That is at least starting to really show more, and at least in front of me daily, with the types of decisions that hiring managers are making in our industry here in town, because it straight up used to be they have to have someone with the knowledge, that can come in and no matter what the job was, just from a training standpoint, that has changed, so people are hiring more of the person now too. So it's just, if we could, something that's just gives them some sort of introductory leg forward.
And I don't think we can overemphasize enough. This is just right now. And this is just our little micro bubble. I would be safe to say within Etowah County, there are thousand minimum of these type jobs, now currently. Just imagine if we had a platform and the training in place, what we could really do. This is kind of almost, we're growing in spite of ourselves. Let's grow because we have a plan to grow. Then the jobs will be there. I'm just one. I would rather have 10 fairs or whatever else that I had one good year. Be diversified. Have a diversified base. I think we've seen in what's happened here. That's what's happened to Gadsden in a sense. They've relied on Goodyear and the steel plant for so long and so many years. It's gotten to where we are today. Diversification will get you through that, and will definitely be better for all of the associates, because there again, those associates just aren't working at one or two plants. They're working at 30 locations throughout Etowah County. That's when you create the real value for your associates. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I'm seeing some comments, and I think they kind of generalize. Could you talk a little, like, what's your turnover rate? Okay.
For choice, I'm just speaking for choice. I am, I'm very thankful and blessed that I've got what I call my core.
Right.
My 200 associates or whatever that rough number. Okay. But that have been with me 15 plus years. They're you can rely on them. They're the backbone of this corporation. They're going to be here. They're going to produce. They're going to make sure our customers are taken care of every day. The other 100 people, I would be lying to say that we have turnover and a turnover problem, because there again, it's all about what am I going to get today?
Right.
I'm not really worried about 9 months down the road or 12 months down the road, and I don't really want to learn that. Well, you're handicapping me from being allowed to help you grow. We have to commit to one another to make sure this works for both of us for the long haul. I want that associate to be here for 10, 15, 20 years. That's when it's you both bear the biggest fruit. So that's just there again, personally for choice. Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, it's hard work.
Absolutely.
It's not easy. And so there's always going to be turnover in $25 an hour pipe fitting jobs. It's hard work.
Ask Honda, right?
Yeah, exactly. But we have 10 people that just every day put nuts on bolts on an automatic nutting machine. And it literally has a spinner in the middle and it does it for you, right? But we turn over a couple people a week, and it's just because it's not for everybody. Just standing isn't for everyone, and until they get in there and understand that, oh my God, my feet actually hurt, my hands hurt a little bit. And so many people, and especially our younger generation now, don't give it a chance, and the first time they don't like something, they think, oh, there's 100 other opportunities out there. I can go to the next agency and I'll get hired right now. And that is what has really just destroyed turnover rates with a lot of companies, is people can't look past, really, like you said today.
Right. You got to find, I think, your passion of what that job is. And then once you found something that does interest you, stick with it. Give it an extra effort, and in turn, like I said earlier, that's just going to pay extreme dividends for you and your family.
Yeah. And again, not to soapbox, but these are entry level jobs. We obviously have a ton of other different jobs for leads and quality inspectors and a bunch of different things, but we're talking about entry level style positions, starting literally at the bottom of what that can do for you,
which is comparable to what is being offered.
Exactly. Oh, absolutely.
So
and not even to mention the work environments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So So let's just real quick. We've been on for about 30 minutes, and we'll wrap it up soon because
Time flies.
yeah. What do you kind of feel like? A lot of I've heard since I've lived in Etowah County. I moved here permanently in 2012. It'll never grow. It'll never be. Nothing's ever going to change. I guess the best way I could ask the question is, what do you guys feel like is holding back Etowah County? Because I mean, I think.
Did you watch the video from Tuesday's council meeting? we can leave it right there. It's leadership. I mean, people in leadership have to lead.
Right.
It's not as complicated as everybody wants to try to make it, but you all have to have a plan, and leaders have to lead. Find out where your shortcomings are, fix those, and do the best thing and what the right thing is for everybody. Not for one entity or one side of town or one, Etowah or Rainbow City or Southside, for everybody. Because this is just a big corporation. As we all do better, we all succeed. It's not real difficult to understand that concept.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, leadership top to bottom. It's kind of before, we really started this, and we were talking earlier about really, different leaders not knowing what they don't know, in a sense of, what really are the different types of things that municipalities can do to attract new business. How are we getting that out to them? Is that the Economic Development Board, the IDA saying, like, yes, of course, that's their job. Are they doing it?
No.
I don't know. But I will say this, for the council and our current leadership, to try to tell us and our citizens here that we have a obligation to look this through, because we won't continue to get other opportunities and things from the state. What else have they given us? And so we're seriously going to consider this just because the state told us to. But that is going to be our leg to stand on with our constituents. So that has been what's been frustrating, is that people need to understand that 9 out of 10 opportunities that come to an area like this has nothing to do with the state, and that's where it has to go at some point, but it's relationship based. It is relationships.
So you guys didn't sit back and wait for the city to give you the businesses that you guys are a part of?
We sure didn't.
We'd still be sitting there waiting.
Yeah. It is a active, constant process, and I'm just saying, just because we're all sitting here and being open and honest, I represent a different county, and I live in Etowah County, and I'm asked by St. Clair County to go and represent economic development and opportunities when other companies come to their county. But yet I can't get Etowah County to even call me back, and to even discuss opportunities with me. But I guess I have enough knowledge to go and represent an entire another county and bring in industry in the automotive industry, so I'm just saying there are people out there that have resources that can help, and are willing to help, as well.
So guys, I'm seeing, a lot of folks have been asking the questions of they're jumping on late and who everybody is. And I think I'm seeing most folks are answering that in the comments. And I appreciate y'all doing that. If somebody could do that again, for those jumping in, just so we don't have to go readdress and do all the reentries. One question, these 3 men all live in Gadsden, correct?
I live in Hortons Bend.
You live in Hortons Bend.
I live in Gadsden as of 4 months ago. I lived in Rainbow City for the last 10 years.
Hortons Bend.
All right. So I'm trying to look through and see if there's any other some good discussion, guys. Good comment from somebody said our officials need to recruit industry instead of playing victim to the state.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the best the state could bring us. We don't need that help.
Exactly. That's the point.
We don't need that help at all. So we at this table and in this community and business leaders in Etowah County can do a whole lot better than that.
Well, I think with the time that we've been going, we're 35 minutes now. Thank y'all. Let's where can folks go to find jobs or if you want to get all that information, I know on Advanced Etowah, I've still got to get it set up, get a page with at least some links to where folks can go
Sure.
with these jobs in our area.
Be glad to post anything we have on the advanced page.
Okay.
And I think we already have, but we'll be glad. I'll be glad to confirm that in the morning.
Okay.
So, and we actually had some pretty good traffic today, so I was pleased with that. So that was good.
I know in a lot of the discussions we've had the last couple of days, it seems like there's a communication breakdown in our community that a lot of folks just aren't aware. They don't know what's available, and all you hear is there aren't any jobs. There aren't any jobs. And I know as we've seen in previous council meetings, Mayor Gotten has repeatedly said there's 500 to 1,000 open jobs that we need to get folks into. So I know that's frustrating for some. And why do we need 60 more, 90 more jobs like they're talking about bringing in?
Well, there again, it's back to the trade. What are you gaining by bringing this here versus 60 to 90 jobs?
Yeah,
That's my biggest issue. And there again, it's cannot. I think the people, Michael, are we got a great group, and this, and they're very smart from the standpoint they understand it's not these 60, 90 jobs. This is a lot deeper than that, and hopefully we'll get to that point very soon. And and then my biggest thing that I've been encouraged by in this 3-week process is the good things that are coming out of it. If we just get this fixed, get this thing voted no, and then let's all focus the same energy on growing and do the right things for Etowah County.
Absolutely.
You'll be shocked at how fast things will take off. And I've said before, and I think I committed to you last night, shame on me. I'm going to make sure I take a more active part going forward to making sure these situations are not allowed to reoccur again.
Well, and I hope everybody, obviously it's not like y'all aren't working hard each and every day with the businesses that you're in. And you got to have faith and trust in the folks that get elected.
Absolutely.
But I think we've definitely all seen. I know it's been an eye opener for me to pay a bit more attention to who I'm electing
For sure.
and get the right qualified folks. Any final thoughts to wrap up?
I got one final thing to add about the jobs, for the rendering plant, and something that I'd forgotten to bring up earlier is, part of what my company does is professional recruitment, and we've worked with 4 or 5 different what's called greenfield operations, meaning it's a greenfield, and they're going to plant. They've got to build the place. They've got to hire every person. They've got to have hiring plans from maintenance all the way to production in 1.5 year long cycles. And so it's a lot goes into, obviously the planning and things like that, and in the greenfield state. So when they tell us that 70 to 90 jobs are coming, what I know that means actually we're probably only going to get around 40 jobs, because we have to do one part of what my job is we obviously look at the surrounding area, where are you getting your talent, right? And where is the skill going to come from to operate that business? So what that means is, since there's not a rendering plant within almost a 2-hour radius, they are going to have to be bringing in people to work in this plant.
Especially management.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, we're talking any decent job that requires skill is going to be brought in. So that literally means we're only going to get the entry-level jobs for people in our area, because we do not have existing infrastructure of this industry anywhere close to us. So it's not even going to affect those people. So they're not even thinking about it that way, that any leadership, supervision, technical skill is going to be brought in. And that is going to really drastically cut any potential other opportunities that our people here in town may have.
Absolutely.
Good point.
I'll one comment that just, why are guys like these 3 not on the IDA?
Well, I will self-admit, I was on the IDA board.
Mm-hmm.
I served for about 4 or 5 years. I had the pleasure of serving with Mike McCain. He was our executive director back at that time, and Mike has passed on, I think, back in 2015, and I had left the board prior to that. But it was just much differently done. It was very, very transparent. The situation was, I know there's been a lot of talk, and I'm not going to go into tonight another time about the whole confidentiality and things like that. But there's a right way and a wrong way to conduct business. And there again, we don't have time tonight to get into all we saw, but I think everyone saw what went on Tuesday. And if anyone thinks that's the right way to conduct business, we're in big, big trouble, because that is absolutely not the right way to do business. And that's the biggest thing that's frustrating for me in this 3-week process is I know we can do a lot better than this. We've just got to get this thing done. Let's move on for the advancement of everybody because the opportunities are out there. They're there. I can grow my business, and I know I can increase associates, period. I know these gentlemen to the table can as well. And as I said earlier, there's 90 more men and women. And that's another thing. I've been extremely excited of the women posting, supporting the projects and things like women-owned businesses. That is great. We need to support them. We need to make sure they're getting the opportunities to grow their businesses. And with situations like this, we're not going to get a chance to grow any businesses. The risk is just there's nowhere near the reward. It's that we're even having to have this conversation is blows my mind that someone can think this is a good idea for this community and this county. And I'll shut up and leave that. I'm going to get on my soapbox tonight.
Well, to answer that question, I did as well. I was on the IDA board for Rainbow City for a month, was then made the chairman of the board after a month. And after 5 months, I resigned. So just be honest. After 5 months, zero support at the time. It wasn't a situation that I felt comfortable with continuing to take time away from honestly growing my company, and my job at the time to where it was, I felt like I was just doing it by myself, so it was, I resigned, and enjoyed it, and obviously it has a lot of benefits and it does need, better leadership, but I just, I did have a little bit of a disagreement with the current mayor and it just led to me no longer doing it, but I would gladly enjoy to do it under Joe Taylor. Because I do feel comfortable, that what we would try to do and develop would get done.
Because it's almost like politicians, and I'm not trying to lump everybody together, but all they have is time. Time costs all of us money. You have to make a good, sound decision and then execute that plan and move on. And then
dropping some business 101.
It's not there again. I said earlier, this is not rocket science in a lot of cases. We tend to make it a lot more difficult than it is. So that was, and to your point, that was my frustration as well. Not with Mike by any means, but we have to get on and past the point of talking about it. Yeah. I don't want to go to the 6th council meeting for 6 months and talk about the same thing. Let's move on.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap it up and get out of here. I've seen everybody's saying thanks for your time.
Thank you all.
I don't know that. I mean, how often do you see this kind of thing, especially in Etowah County? So I hope this is the beginning of a discussion for Etowah, and let's turn some things around.
That'd be great.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. We'll get more info out in the coming.